Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Organic Matters. It is, of course, the podcast brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And I'm joined by Jessica Monley from Super Soil. Thank you very much for being here with us. And we are focusing still on all things soil and soil health. Obviously, the clue is in the name of the company that we're interviewing today. Jessica, first of all, Super Soil. What does super soil actually do?
So super soil is a really high concentration of organic soil microbes. And what they do, they go back down into the soil and start regenerating the health and the structure of the soil. Okay. So you've got different little microbes in there, like your nitrogen fixing bacterias, your different fungi and myceliums, protists and different enzymes. And what all these do is start to work away, building up these soil structures, and also kind of breaking down the organic matter that you would find within your soil. So extracting, in particular, your NPs and Ks, whether it's drawing it down from the atmosphere through carbon sequestration, or, extracting, unlocking those nutrients that you'd kind of naturally find in the organic matter in the soil.
And that's really interesting, because I think a lot of us are only discovering how powerful the soil is. And when you talk about mycelium, when you're talking about microbes, they are all becoming kind of buzzwords now, but they are, what you're talking about, it is quite powerful.
Oh, massively. And I think, people are kind of always asking us, like, we'd have, granted, a few skeptical people coming on to us, and they would ask us, well, how is it so powerful? Why are there not microbes in our ground, in our soils already? And yes, Stu, absolutely, there will be microlife if you're looking at it, but through just natural organic practices, like even the fact that you have animals within a paddock, and that constantly drawing from the earth in terms of grazing and compaction and all that kind of thing, that really damages the microlife within the soil. Even before we touch chemical fertilizers and what that does to the soil. So by reintroducing this whole ecosystem of life back down in there, the soil is a living thing. We just assume it's dirt or it's just innocuous matter. It's not. It's a living, breathing substance that ultimately, if you have your soil alive and full of this vital organic matter, everything that grows in it is going to be better. It's going to be more nutritionally valuable to the animals that are ingesting it. Also in terms of the carbon cycle is another huge thing that it plays a role in. So yeah, it's just, for such a small little microbes, they do play a massive vital part in the kind of the ecosystem and the balance in the whole thing.
And it was interesting as well looking at your website, and if anyone's interested, it is there, supersoil.ie, if anyone wants to have a look. But it mentioned that half of the world's soils have been lost in over half a century. And that's a large part of that is down to the use of chemical fertilizer, and that 24 billion tons of soil are lost every year. Those figures are just staggering. And it is that kind of misuse of the soil. The Dust Bowl in America was actually created long before artificial fertilizers, because people just kept replanting the same crop over and over again. And then, of course, with the advent of chemical fertilizers, we've seen damage to water quality in particular, and soil health as well probably has degraded in a lot of places. So what you're saying, could farmers, this is a basic question, but a lot of farmers are going to be interested to know, so are you advocating that you would just use these microbes, that you would cut out chemical fertilizer altogether?
Now, again, it really depends on the intensity of the farmer's practice. Not all, but some farmers, they just, the demand for grass, for example, may outweigh what nature could provide in some instances. So whereas We have certainly, and the majority of farmers who use super soil have been able to completely come away from chemical fertilizers, because say they just need their average stocked, they may look for one kind of silage a year, they're on the kind of, sustainable kind of working with nature in a way. Now, other farmers, not to say, say anything about the other farmers, but they find super soil great because they can actually, they care about their soil just as much as any farmer, and they want to ensure that it's healthy and it's fit and all the rest of it. And so they will put out super soil, and then from there they're able to reduce their overall use of chemical fertilizer. So for example, say the most intense of dairy farmers, right, who have really intensive rotations of grazing, if they put out super soil, they probably get to their third or fourth round of grazing based on super soil alone, without putting any chemical fertilizer out. And then from then on, we would suggest them maybe put out half the rates that they were using previously, just to make up, the difference between, the grass that they would require for their herds. And
but that would still be a substantial saving, because I'm looking at the costs as well. And so a 1 kg bag is estimated to be able to do 10 acres or 4 hectares, and that costs €299. I mean, in comparison to, say, a ton of fertilizer, I know fertilizer prices have come down recently, but that's still an awful lot more expensive. So it could help, I guess, the bottom line for a lot of farmers as well.
Oh, big time. I mean, we were down, actually down in Cork, down in the Golden Vale down there, and at a trade show. And I mean, absolutely, the farmers would, they really do care and want to do well by their soil, but they just didn't have an alternative, if you know what I mean, or something that they could. So yeah, we're getting great feedback from them, because even year on year, as you reapply super soil, it's still going to, the remnants of the previous year is still going to be present. So over time and over the years, you're actually helping to combat a lot of the damage that was done through the chemical and through the grazing, and, get your soils light years ahead of what it would have been without.
So if I order this 1 kg bag,
yeah,
and it arrives on my doorstep, is it a powder? Is it a dust? How do I transfer it onto my land? How does that work?
Yes, so you'll order, what farmers do, they order a 1 kg bag of this super soil, right? And that 1 kg bag, believe it or not, is enough to do 10 acres. So it comes in as a really, really fine powder. You would mix that with 1,000 liters of water in your conventional sprayer. You don't need to change the nozzles on your sprayer. As I say, it's a fine powder. You're diluting it with a lot of water. It's completely dissolvable. So you just basically mix it, and then you spray it out over your 10 acres.
Okay.
And it's just one application you need to do for the year.
And is it advised to do that at springtime, at the beginning of grass growth, or what's the best time to do it?
Well, we say you can spray it anytime. The best time to spray it is yesterday, in terms of the sooner you have it in the ground, the more it's going to be, it'll start to work. Like we've had people spray it all year round, and it's just with the like if you sprayed it, for example, in October, you won't have to reapply till next October. It'll be working away in the ground there for you. Yeah.
And say, in regards to spreading slurry, or in regards to spreading lime, people talk about, you say there's a certain time frame in between when you spread slurry and then afterwards when you spread lime. Is there any kind of equivalent time frame with this?
No, there's no time frame between super soil or like I mean, as in super soil and lime and super soil and slurry. There's no, you can spray it the day after, the day before. It makes no odds at all. Yeah, interesting you mentioned the lime and the slurry there. Like super soil loves slurry, or any organic matter. As I said before, people are always asking, oh, can you put out slurry with that? Yes, indeed, put out your organic matter with this, as it's going to, again, the microbes are breaking down that organic matter and being able to transport those nutrients to the root of the plant. So definitely, yes. do put out your slurries.
And I mean, it was interesting as well talking about chemical fertilizer, and it releases nitrous oxide, which is a gas which is, I think, over 200 times, has a 200 times more higher heating effect than carbon dioxide. Yeah. So there was talk there on your website about super soil and its ability to draw down, is it nitrogen from the atmosphere? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, so the nitrogen fixing bacteria within super soil, they will congregate around the roots, and I mean of the sward or of the grass, and they'll actually draw down that nitrogen, convert it into they'll fix it into the soil again, and then they convert that nitrogen into a usable nutrient for the actual plant to grow. So I mean, like looking at the connection between the microlife within soil and the carbon cycle of actually drawing down carbon, there's like countless journals and countless research done on this. So I mean, for the future of super soil, this would definitely be something we'd be very excited looking into, and we are currently putting a lot of time and research into showing how this can have this could be game changing for the type of, for actually fixing carbon back into the earth where it should be.
Because, like, I mean, you mentioned skeptics earlier, and I was wondering, what do you say to the people who tell you this is mumbo jumbo and you're selling a bag of magic beans to farmers? Like, what do you have proper testimonials and research done? I presume you do.
Oh gosh, yeah. Like, I mean, as you say, before we came to the market, like we had to have a lot of research and all the backing, and we've, 5,000 acres of field trials and, different independent labs testing us and such like that. So yeah, we do have an amazing amount of research done. But we found that in terms of getting the message across, we really wanted to focus, I suppose, on the testimonials and the actual practical use of it. So we had a load of very good people who were kind of to give us testimonials off their own bat, and sharing their experience of super soil with us.
And they're good testimonials, I'm assuming. People have seen this. And are they dairy farmers, tillage farmers? Is there a big mix?
Yeah, there's a mix of, we have we have a dairy farmer down in Cork. We've different limousine breeders, a lot of kind of, then we have also the studs farms, particularly for horses, who are very sensitive to the type of grass they eat. There has to be a certain, like, they can't have too much nitrogen, all this kind of thing. So it's been really beneficial there. But yeah, a lot of the testimonials we have are really praising the product insofar as the amount of grass that they're able to get. Like, a lot of those testimonials, the guys didn't have to put their hand in their pocket once in terms of shelling out for fertilizer, like saving them. We're talking 10,000 in one case, substantial money savings from not using fertilizer. And just, I suppose you can see it if you go onto the website and watch the testimonials. It's amazing to see that they're genuinely like, they would have been the skeptics on the phone originally. They would have been like, oh, we'll try a bag and we'll see how we go. And once they see the results, they're like, oh my gosh, this is actually working. We also have actually on our testimonials a gentleman from one of our labs over in the UK who's talking all about the results that we got from super soil. He'd be more on the technical end of measuring the different microlife and the different levels that have increased, and goes in more depth in that regard. So
I noticed as well that, I mean, you're shipping this worldwide, so I'm going to presume the demand is predominantly in Ireland, but where do you see it going from here?
Yes, well, yeah, Ireland and the UK have been kind of our primary markets, but we were getting an awful lot of interest in America now.
Okay.
Over the winter, we had a lot of interest from the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay.
Yeah, so because it was kind of coming into their summertime when we were coming into our winter time. So yeah, no, absolutely. Like we're in every continent, that's for sure, bar the Antarctic, but yeah.
And it's and it is organic friendly as well. So if you're an organic farmer, you can use this. And do you find, is it organic farmers or conventional farmers who are coming to you?
Funny enough, most of the people we talk to are conventional farmers. Now, that's not to say we have a lot. I've noticed a big shift of people wanting to go organic now. There's an awful lot of farmers who were traditional farmers who are going organic. We do get a few of them who are kind of wondering if this is suitable. But predominantly, it's just the average farmer looking to, I think with the recent kind of issues with fertilizer costs and also the great push from, the government in terms of environmental, from an environmental standpoint, it's allowed just average farmers to come and try the product. And then once they can see the benefits, they tend to come back or tell their friends, and word of mouth that way gets back to us.
That's brilliant. Jessica, thank you very much for that. That's great. And if anyone's interested in more, like I said earlier, the website is www.supersoil.ie. But for everyone listening, you've been listening to Organic Matters, brought to you by the Irish Organic Association. And for any more information about organics, you can visit their website, www.irishorganicassociation.ie. But from all of us here at Organic Matters, thank you very much for listening.